Hey, welcome to Keight Krafts. I'm Keight. Today I would like to share with you a card inspired by one of my favorite movies. Let's get started. To kick things off, I've gone ahead and stamped and cut out some images from Happy Harvest, Virtual Friends add-on, Bicycle Built for You, Harold's ABCs, Raffle Tickets, and I also used the cloud background hot foil plate, and that was from the other day. You won't see any footage of that because it was just one of those things that I decided that I was going to hot foil a bunch and put it in my stash, and that way I had them if I need them. So you'll see all this stuff later. And what I'm doing right here is the bicycle from Bicycle Built for You. I want to remove the wheels to the bicycle, and you'll see why in a little bit. So very carefully I am taking my craft blade and just kind of cutting where I need to cut so I can carefully remove the wheel, and that way we can add our own wheels onto it. Now, my favorite movie, well, one of my favorite movies is a movie from the early 70s. I think it was 1971 it was made, and it stars Ruth Gordon and Bud McCort. And the movie is called Harold and Maude. It's a bit of a black romance comedy. It's a little dark. Needless to say, I like the weird movies. And this is one of those weird movies where a 20-something-year-old guy ends up befriending a 79-year-old woman, and yeah, they ended up having a bit of a love interest in each other. So that's what I'm doing. So I've got the little girl from Bicycle Built for You, which is going to be Maude, who is played by Ruth Gordon, and in the movie poster she's got a little handkerchief around her head, so I'm just kind of cutting her hair to make it look like it. And I looked all over the internet to see what it was that I wanted to do with this card, and I couldn't think of anything fantastical or exciting, or, I mean, I probably could have done an interactive card of some degree or another, but I kind of kept it basic. And I thought, it needs to get out of my head, and if I sit there and I hem and my haw and, you know, obsess over it a little too much, it's not going to get done, and this needed to get done because I had already missed out on the last time Lawn Fawn had the challenge of making a card based off of a movie or a song or a book. I was a little late to the party when I had figured this out, I guess, and I never got around to doing it. So the template to this Bicycle Built for You Frankenstein altogether has been staring me in the face since the last challenge, and now I'm finally getting around to doing it. So all I'm doing is going off of a movie poster that I'd found on the internet, and that's how I chose the colors for a lot of this stuff. So in the movie poster, Harold has the brown hair, and he's got the yellowish red shirt and the tanned pants and the dark shoes. So that's kind of what I'm doing with him. I'm just going back and forth between, well, not back and forth, just using the two color blend, and I'll go over the dark and then I'll go over it twice with the lighter color just to blend it out a little bit, because I didn't want to do too overcomplicated with the color blends, because it needed to get out of my head. I needed to do this damn card, and that's what I'm doing. So we're keeping it very simple. I mean, I felt like I should have done more to it, because I'm always used to doing a little extra, I guess, and trying to keep the cards simple is quite the challenge for me. So that's what we're doing, is challenging myself to make simple cards. So you can see here I'm just coloring their faces in and their hands with some e-markers, and then once that's done, I'll go ahead and I will color Maude's outfit. Now in the movie poster, Maude has a red handkerchief on her head, so we're just going to take the pencil to kind of map out where the handkerchief will end and her hair will begin, though you don't really see her hair in the movie poster. So all I'm doing with my 2 blend here is I'm going around the edges with the R59, and then I'll go back in with the R39 and just kind of blend that out a little bit. And then once I'm done with that, I will go ahead and bring in a little bit of C5, as you can see here, and creating a shadow, and then that way I can bring in the E23 and blend that out a little bit, because she's got some little bit of gray in her hair, but not too much. And then I'll just bring in a black gel pen to kind of even out that line so it looks like she's got her little handkerchief on. Now in the movie poster, she is wearing a pink coat, and I didn't have anything close enough to match the pink coat, so what I'm doing is I'm using the RV17 and then the RV13, and then just kind of tip to tip there, you can see, just to kind of blend it out a little bit better, because I didn't have anything really in between those two. And in the poster, the jacket is quite bright, and she's also got like these dark green tights on, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that dark green in through the rest of the coloring here. And for these guys, these are like the little sunflowers. I think in the movie poster they might be daisies. I can't recall. But I didn't really have any daisies that I could use as wheels, and I found these sunflowers in the Happy Harvest and thought that they would do quite well for what we needed them today. And then this little plant is from the Virtual Friends add-on, and keeping in tone with Maude's tights, I'm just going to color the leaves in the same kind of green here in the two-tone. So that way it kind of matches, kind of doesn't. I don't know, you can be the judge of it. So once I'm done coloring all those, I will go ahead and I will make all my little cuts that I need, so that way Harold can be holding on to Maude while Maude is handling the bike. And in the movie, the bike is actually a police motorcycle that they nicked, and what they had done was they were liberating a public tree, and they took a tree out of a public space and they were going to go plant it in the forest. They ended up stealing a police officer's bike after their car broke down, or they got pulled over. I think they got pulled over, and the police officer wanted to see Maude's driver's license, and she basically told him that I don't believe in the driver's license, and then they ended up stealing the motorcycle. And in the movie poster, that's what you see, is them on the police motorcycle with the potted tree, or the liberated tree, and they were going to go take it to the forest. So that's what we're doing here. Except I don't have a motorcycle in Lawn Fawn images. I don't think Lawn Fawn even has a motorcycle image. And there wasn't really a tree that would fit the scene, so this is what we're using. We're using the Happy Harvest bicycle, or no, sorry, the Bicycle Built for You bicycle, the Happy Harvest sunflowers for the wheels of the bicycle, and to substitute for the tree, we're going to use the little plant from the Virtual Friends add-on. So I've gone ahead and glued the two characters together, so Harold and Maude are already glued together. I forgot my spacing and didn't realize I was off camera when I had glued all that together. You'll have to forgive me. As you can see, I've got a new mat space to work on. I ended up picking up a new mat with a gift card that I had received for my birthday, and I've already wrecked it. Well, not already wrecked it, but I've already cut into it and gotten it dirty, and you know, you can't keep things clean forever now, can we? But I do like it. It's a bigger space to work off of, and it seems a little less dirty than the mess that I made of my Cricut mat. Plus this one's a lot larger, which I'm excited to have. So once I've glued on the pot, and I'm going to set that off to the side, we are going to take our panel, which has got the hot foil clouds on, and then I use the outside in stitched rectangle die to cut it out with. And then I've gone ahead and taken some, I think it's the fall fling paper from Lawn Fawn, and I used the outside in stitched rectangle to cut it, and then a hillside border die to create our little hill. And I didn't do any blending on this, just to keep things a little bit simple. I decided that I was going to take a flag banner and cut out my little sentiment here, and I used Harold's ABCs to stamp out "If you want to sing out." And in the movie, the majority of songs that are in the movie are done by, I don't know what his name is now, Yosef something or other, but back then his name was Cat Stevens. And one of the main songs is "If you want to sing out, sing out. If you want to be free. There's a million things to be, that there are." And that's all I could really come up with for the outside of the card. I left the inside of the card blank because the rest of the song is kind of long and I didn't feel like stamping it all out. So, like I said, I wanted to keep things simple, but I wanted a little bit of an extra element to this, so I decided to take a small action wobbler that I had in my craft stash, and I'm just going to plop that down onto my card panel. And then once I'm satisfied with the placement, I'm just going to give them a quick mash down. And there you go. Jiggly jiggly. So to tie all these things in together, I've taken some Recollections pastel foil cardstock, and I've cut it down to 4¼ by 5½, and I've taped that onto a card base, and we're going to use it just kind of as a border to our card here. And once I'm happy with that placement, I'm going to go in with some cutouts from the Raffle Tickets set. Now, for some reason, my glue bottles today decided that they just wanted to continuously push out glue. So I ended up having to put the glue onto a piece of piece of paper here, and I'm just using a straight pin to help me glue everybody down. And that way I don't get glue all over the place, because for some reason they kept oozing out glue and it wasn't fun. So once I've glued those guys on, I'm going to take my clear Wink of Stella and I'm just going to go over the red to the bicycle just to kind of give it a little bit of shimmer. I mean, it was kind of flat just looking at it, and then I thought, well, let's add some subtle detail to it. And what better way to add a subtle detail than with a little bit of Wink of Stella? I mean, you could have done this with a Stardust pen by Sakura, the Jelly Roll kind, but I thought maybe this might be better to just kind of brush on a little bit of sparkle, and you can easily go back and add more once it's dry if you'd like. And once I'm done with the clear, I thought the silver bits of the bicycle could use a little sparkle too, so I've got the silver sparkle Wink of Stella, and I'm just creating just a little bit of a shadow with it, and that way it's not too dark and too overpowering, and then I'll go over the little bicycle basket lines with it. So once I'm done with that, I will go in with my Sakura black glaze pen, and I'm just going to add a little bit of a music note here, just because there was a little bit too much space. So once I'm done that, there is my finished card. How adorable is that? I love the little action wobbler. So they're just putzing along, getting ready to go and plant their little plant in the forest. I think this card turned out quite nice, and yeah, I might just keep this one for myself. I don't know, maybe. So if you've enjoyed today's content, you know what to do. And as always, thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.